Albert Einstein. The most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of all true art and science. The one to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead, a snuffed-out candle. To sense that behind anything that can be experienced, there is something that our minds cannot grasp, whose beauty and sublimity reaches us only indirectly. This is religiousness. In this sense, and in this sense only, I am a devoutly religious man. Psalm 104. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, you are very great. You are clothed with honor and majesty, wrapped in light as with a garment. You stretch out the heavens like a tent. You set the beams of your chambers on the waters. You make the clouds your chariot. You ride on the wings of the wind. You make the winds your messengers, fire and flame your ministers. You set the earth on its foundations so that it shall never be shaken. You cover it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At your rebuke they flee. At the sound of your thunder they take to flight. They rose up to the mountains, ran down to the valleys, to the place that you appointed for them. You make the springs gush forth in the valleys, giving drink to every wild animal. By the streams the birds of the air have their habitation. They sing among the branches. From your lofty abode you water the mountains. The earth is satisfied by the fruit of your work. Welcome to MIN 660, Sacraments and Ordinances. I'm standing here today at Salem Creek in Washington Park. I have a question for you. Where do baptisms happen in your tradition? What sort of water? What is your water source for baptizing in your church or your community? This part of Salem Creek runs through the new Gateway Nature Center. A few years ago, this portion of Salem Greenway was going to become low-income housing. Some residents and local foundations purchased the 19-acre site and created the new Nature Center. Those planning the center are basing their strategy on the work of Richard Louv of San Diego, California. Louv wrote a 2005 bestseller called Last Child in the Woods, and in it he emphasizes the growing gap between children today and the natural world. Nature Center leaders here in Winston-Salem hope to bridge that gap by providing a place where people can hear owls, glimpse a red fox or a deer or a blue heron, or learn about the kinds of bugs that let us know whether a creek is healthy or unhealthy. Creeks, streams, rivers, waters just like these are in all of our neighborhoods and communities. Many of them, like this one, are in danger. Industrial activities in previous years have contaminated this part of Salem Creek, and it has been designated a brownfield. A brownfield agreement identifies contaminants and sets guidelines for how a site can be used. One aim of Nature Center organizers is to reduce the level of soil toxins in and around Salem Creek. And yet we build houses here at the water and have for centuries, near water sources of all kinds. And water nourishes us, keeps us alive, fuels our everyday living. These waters and other common elements such as bread, wine, and oil, these are things by which we live and in which we share Earth's goodness. They are things we share or have to learn to share again if the Earth and human communities are to have a future. Too many liturgies and worship practices have forgotten the earthy and sublime reality of our central holy things. We baptize with water and in water, but often don't make real in our baptizing practices the realness of water in our communities. People once baptized in local creeks like this one, maybe even in this one. Now, perhaps we still do baptize around here, near Salem Creek in a way. Many baptistries here in Forsyth County are filled by waters from the Yadkin PD River Basin. What do we know about these waters? What do church folks know about them? And how do we see them, hear the rush of their waters when we baptize in an indoor pool or gathered around a font? And why does this matter? Why does it matter to our baptismal practices that Americans use on average 150 gallons of water a day to wash, to clean, to drink, to waste, to water? And why does it matter that too many people in the world do not have access to any clean water? What difference do these things make when we baptize? This course begins at the waters because you and other ministers in so many literal and symbolic ways lead through the waters. You also lead from the table, the Lord's table, where people are nourished by the fruit of the earth. Again, how do we see grains growing in fertile fields or imagine the work of day laborers who harvest and mill those grains when we gather to break bread at Sunday's sacred table? And why does this matter? We will wrestle with these questions this semester, even as we explore the history and theology of baptism and Holy Communion. What do baptism and the Lord's Supper have to do with climate change, food access, low-income housing needs, sustainability? Linda Gibler writes in her book, From the Beginning to Baptism, that the universe is God-drenched. Every being, form, and particle of the universe mediates and responds to God's blessing and has something to teach to those who will listen. These waters, right here, ancient but new every day, have something to teach us. Baptism's waters, too, have gifts to offer, not just symbolic or metaphorical gifts, but gifts tied to their watery properties, the stories and the histories that they tell. I invite you to join me this semester in exploring what Gibler calls a cosmocentric sacramentality. Worship, baptism, and the Lord's meal arises from and returns to human experience. Worship also arises from and returns to the earth. As we pay attention to the mysteries of worship and link them to the mysteries of the earth and everyday life, we invite worshipers to be more aware of how God is with us in every aspect of every creation, in every mundane moment of each day, and in the most unexpected otherness of life. An otherness we often overlook or ignore or forget or fail to taste and see. This awareness matters. It matters for individual faith. It matters for the life of the earth, and it matters if we are serious about seeking justice. And so we begin with a blessing of water for our journey from Linda Gibler. Blessed are you, ever-present God, creator of the universe. Through you we have the gift of water for baptism, water that formed in the remnants of ancient stars and brought our day star to birth, water that cooled the nascent earth, rising from deep within and carried by comets. Your water drenched our young planet and covered it in oceans. Water that birthed the first life on earth and each life thereafter. Water that fills and flows within every living being. Blessed are you, ever-present God, creator of the universe. Through you, we have the gift of water for baptism. Amen.